Big businesses have done offshoring for ages. We're all familiar with it. But small businesses have been much more reluctant. So in this video, I want to look at offshoring the accounting function in particular, but obviously it applies to other areas of your business, and the reasons why it's more relevant now than it has been in the past. And actually, I think that it's more possible now than it has been in the past as well. And within that, I'm going to have a look at our accounting practice and how we've done offshoring as an example for you. I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you'd like to be kept up to date, then please subscribe to the channel. And if you press the like button, it helps me and it helps the channel, so thank you for doing that. So employment has changed over the last 5 years. That is no mystery to anybody. The big things are, in my mind, first of all, wage rates have just gone up a lot. The minimum wage has certainly helped with this. There's been a huge increase in the minimum wage, which is now certainly affecting accounting practices. But also, I see rates that are way above the minimum wage, but where they're like 50% above what they were just a few years ago. Maybe my memory is slightly lagging, but yeah, 50% increases on what they used to be. That's a big increase. And I know that I'd struggle to increase my fees by that amount, and I think it's my duty to make sure that I don't, because that wouldn't be fair to my clients. So we're trying to make sure that we don't increase our fees when we're faced with these huge increases in the cost of employing people. But there's more than that. I've always thought that offshoring was something that people in London needed to do, because up in the north you could always employ people, and that always used to be the case. But that's got narrower and narrower over the years, and then when we came back to work after everything shut down, it became very, very difficult indeed to recruit, and certainly it was impossible to definitely recruit. So you might have been lucky to get somebody, but I couldn't sort of definitely get somebody and know that I could have a successful recruitment process. Now, what that means, of course, is that as an employer, you're in a really weak negotiating position, because you know and your staff know that you can't replace them very easily. Well, that doesn't feel very sustainable for a business to remain profitable. And the other thing that happened over the close downs was working from home. Working from home became quite a thing. So it's a bit double-edged. So working from home, if you can prove that you can work from home 100%, then, well, why does it need to be done in the UK at all? And I think that's the question that sort of I'm answering here. The answer is not everything does, in my opinion. But also we had a proper look at working from home, and we certainly looked at our ability to work from home. So for a lot of businesses, we have the phone infrastructure so we can ring people, and we have the IT infrastructure so we can support people working from home. And that does change, and we've also had to think through how we get working from home to work. So all of those things mean that offshoring stuff becomes much more something that we can get our heads around. Now, we do have to just think about working from home, because I'm not a big fan of working from home, if I'm going to be honest. There are people who really think this is a great idea, and there are people who think it's not good at all. I'm definitely over on that. I don't think it's that good. And the reason that I think that is, firstly, I think there's 20% of the population that work amazingly from home and are more productive, but I think the 80% do less work. I think there's too many distractions, and even without the commuting, I think you do less work at home, and I think you do more personal stuff, and I would definitely include myself in that 80%. So I'm much less productive if I'm working from home, and I do know that some people are really good at it, but I'm not one of them, and it's my business. So I think people who work for me are going to be less keen, because that's how it works. But there's more to working from home than that. I also think that it's a real problem in people's mental health, and I think you have a responsibility to your staff to look after their mental health, because the more people live alone, the more they have relatively small social circles, the more they're not seeing people in the evening. I think it can be terrible for people's mental health. And it's a bit like eating cake. You sort of want to eat cake, and maybe you want to eat more cake, but ultimately it makes you ill. And I think people want working from home, they want the flexibility, but then they don't necessarily see that it has a real impact on their mental health. And then the other part of working from home is it's really difficult to impart knowledge and experience, because experienced people need to be in the office helping the less experienced people get that experience. And I think for all those reasons, I'm not a big fan of working from home. But I am a big fan of people working overseas and then they're working from home. So I can see this is an inconsistency. So let's have a little think about that. So how have we managed to cope with the dilemma of working from home, not really agreeing with working from home, and doing the training? Well, first of all, we've got to have a proper, more formal training program. And we've got to be really careful with the communication so that we see people regularly, mostly on Zoom or Teams, but also that we spend the time doing the training, and then we have phone calls to make sure that we catch up with people. And that covers some of it. For us, it is also now possible to have officers in overseas locations. So although it might be only one person you're employing, they are in an office environment. So all those mental health issues can melt away. And if it's within a larger accounts department, some of the training issues can be done in a larger office. And that is really what's happening. And I think that's part of the innovation that's been going on over the last number of years, which allows small businesses to do offshoring successfully. The way that we've approached it is that we've really committed to it. So we spent time going to visit the people who are working overseas and bringing them back so they see how we do things, and we've invested in the training. We started working from home, but I do realise I have this problem with working from home because I'm definitely on the don't like working from home camp. So what we're now doing is looking to have an office. So we started in South Africa, looking at the whole of South Africa, but it's like 1,000 kilometres from Cape Town to Johannesburg, so they're just so far away. So we restricted it to the Western Cape to start with, and then we restricted it just to Cape Town so that people could see each other, and now we're just restricting the people employed to just an area of Cape Town so that they can actually see each other. So that's the first stage, and the second phase is we're looking to make sure that they're in an office. So although they will be doing some working from home, they will be doing hybrid working, so sometime they'll be working from home, sometime in the office, and when they're in the office we can make sure they're okay, and we can make sure the training's right, and we can make sure the whole thing works. And there are obviously local considerations. We've chosen South Africa because of the time zone, because the business culture is very similar, because of the language, that there's a very high level of good quality English spoken. The actual accountancy qualifications are very similar. A South African chartered accountant is a very similar qualification to a UK one, and actually their tax system is really similar as well. So there we have it. For small businesses, you obviously need to have skilled staff, but they don't necessarily need all to be in the UK. And if you are being faced with the increase in the cost of employing people, the difficulty in employing people, then maybe you want to look and see if you can offshore some of those people so you can get the skills, get the costs right, and take your business forward. If you've got any questions about this, then you know where we are. I do regular updates on tax and accounting issues, so if you'd like to be kept up to date, then please subscribe to the channel. If you press the like button, it helps me in the channel, so thank you.